Welcome back to Need More Info. I'm your host, Nate. How's everybody doing this week? That was a weird intro, but I do not care. It's amazing to be back, people. Hopefully you're all having a lovely time out there with this actually quite nice weather at the moment. It's a very, very nice temperature in the UK at the moment. It's not to the point where we all want to melt like the Wicked Witch of the West. I'm melting. It's, not to the freezing point, which, to be honest with you, I actually prefer, because it's easier to get warm in the cold than cold in the warm, and that's definitely for sure. But yeah, honestly, it's been great to be back, people, and with tons of news, and we're getting back into the topical debates again this week, and with the next few weeks coming up as well, because we've got a few predictions with a few topics relating to some of the news we'll be getting into a bit later. But before we get into that, I'd like to welcome back a lovely co-host who I always love having on the show. It's Fergus. How you doing, man?
Hello, thank you for having me again. I'm back.
You're back again. Fergus back. How you been?
What have I been up to the past couple of weeks? Being really hot, being not so hot, lots of walking.
Yes, I
Forza
saw
5.
that.
Yeah. Went on a 20-kilometer hike around the South Downs.
No.
It was even a bit much for me, to be honest. I took the entire Sunday was a write-off.
Looked stunning, to be fair, though.
It's wonderful. It's some wonderful countryside out there.
So I've actually been to the castle for a wedding. It was gorgeous there. So yeah.
Oh yeah, no, yes, it looked very good from the outside.
Yeah, no, it's very interesting to actually see from the inside. It's very, very stunning to just walk up to in general. But no, that's awesome. And you said you completed Forza Horizon. So with completing Horizon 5, what are you up to now with gaming?
Gaming, I have started playing Medieval Dynasty, which aesthetically looks an awful lot like Skyrim, but you just build a village and inhabit villages and hunt and that sort of thing. It's good. It's quite a pleasant play. I think the AI needs improving because my first villager got fed up with me and wandered off into the middle of the lake, and I can't get into the middle of the lake to rescue them. So that's where I left that one.
Well, that's one way to go. That's definitely one way to go.
Yeah.
But no, honestly, man, it's great to have you back. Myself, I've been playing Power Wash Simulator on Game Pass.
I've watched streamers play Power Wash Simulator. I've not got round to playing it myself.
Do it. You'll get it. The fact that some of the missions have you, washing from push bike motorbikes to like playgrounds, and or I heard there's some where you have to like wash a subway station, and I saw a picture of like literally half of it was clean, like a straight smooth line down the middle, and my OCD side was coming out. I was going, oh yes, that just looks so good. Maybe I should make Sounds Like That on a podcast, but I don't care because it was just looked that satisfying. What else have I been playing? Still need to complete Stray, even though it's only 5 hours long. My housemate will kill me before I actually complete that. What else have I been playing? Honestly, I haven't actually been playing a lot, because obviously last week we had a lot of podcasting going on, so it was a lot of editing time. We finally figured out the pixel animated versions, people. Unfortunately, it's not the full articulated mouths. I actually did spend about 6 hours working at Adobe Animate to actually created the R, like all the mouth, annotations that could go with the mouth. But when I tried to animate it, because Adobe Animate is basically Flash, and I realized that would take forever to animate one character, to be fair, and it wasn't great. So we're going to stick with the old South Park mouth moving for now. So go check that out now, people, on YouTube. Episode 30 is up with that, and it's very interesting, to be honest. It's our San Diego Comic-Con special. I'm looking at contemplating going back and retroactively changing and maybe at least 5 or 6 of the episodes into pixel versions of the talking episodes, but going forwards, definitely look for that coming out every week. So that was pretty much my weekend entirely. So I'm actually looking forward to going to Brighton Pride this weekend. So yeah, looking forward to that. You coming along?
I haven't got tickets.
Oh no, it's just we're just going
to turn up.
Yeah, well, we're just going to the parade.
Maybe. My life is currently chaotic, so
as life is.
Yeah,
Chaos.
pretty
Uh,
much.
yeah, but no, I've been like, I haven't been like, this is the first year where I'm actually going because I can finally walk better now because I had some ankle issues before. So I've just decided, you know what? And a friend of mine said, you know, come along this year. So I'm gonna hopefully get my new Hawaiian shirts or pattern shirts and glitter and color my hair, you know, and go to the parade, go to the Brighton Pride, and it's going to be very fun to actually go visit for the first time. Very busy though, I've heard. Very busy. But yeah, no, honestly, right, people. So, obviously, as mentioned before, last week we did the San Diego Comic Con episode, and we had a special episode, double episode, people, double episode due to technical difficulties, aka Nate couldn't get it out on time, so he released them at 2 at once. But a little peek behind the curtain there. But we thought you'd enjoy the little animatic that went with it as well. We're definitely using that in the future. So yeah, with the San Diego Comic Con episode, the amount of stuff we actually talked about and the amount of stuff we left out because there was just so much to go through. Like, we didn't even really get into the Lord of the Rings of Power trailer, to be honest. But again, so much to get through it, and that comes out in about a month's time, so we'll be talking about it then. But yeah, no. So obviously, you know, we're back to the general news this week, and we're going to be getting into our topic this week is the top our personal top 5 TV animes. This is a Japanese anime specifically. We'll get into that little conversation when we get into the topic section because I was a bit frustrated at that. But when it comes to all that, yeah, that's what we're going to be doing this week. So we've done the intros. Hello, Fergus.
Hello.
Hi, how are you doing? Cool, right. We've done the intros. Excellent. And now it's time to get on to that news. So, Fergus, I think it's time for the news, man.
Yes, tell us what has happened this week.
Well, speaking of adaptations, MGM no longer owns Tomb Raider.
I saw this. I was looking forward to that film. It's in the article. It says it's the license is not up for bidding for other studios, so hopefully someone else will take it on very soon. But I mean, I guess this means a delay at the very least.
See, I'm wondering if this was because of the whole Amazon acquisition of MGM. Maybe it was just during this period. Maybe Amazon can renew the license because obviously Amazon own MGM now, and you'd think with Mass Effect, God of War coming from Amazon that this would actually go and play into that.
Yeah, and didn't Square Enix sell Tomb Raider or the rights to, or the studio that made Tomb Raider recently?
Oh, to the partner group, yeah. That because I know
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy and Deus Ex went to that company, but I don't know if Tomb Raider did.
I don't know if it went to the same people, but it definitely went. I'm pretty sure it did. So a combination of those two things has made the movie fall through.
Yeah, it's basically coming from PC Gamer. Basically, it's MGM would have needed to formally commit to the sequel by May this year, but it wanted to keep its hold on. If it wanted to keep its hold on the movie rights for Tomb Raider, but let the opportunity slip. This is frustrating because Alicia Vikander, she was actually a good, really, really good, you know, Lara Croft and everything. But that movie was really good up until the halfway point. It was this almost straight adaptation of the first remake of the games, and then it got into this weird, adaptation, which was kind of frustrating, to be honest. But yeah, no, honestly, I'm a bit sad about this. Hopefully, Amazon could possibly, you know, do this. I don't know, to be honest. And
We'll
obviously,
see.
Nick Frost was at the end of that movie with the old pistol, Lara Croft pistols, which I thought was hilarious. But
Mm.
yeah, no, popping along though, it seems that the Batman will actually be back. He's coming back, people.
Oh, this will be fun.
Yeah, so it turns out that the reason that this was revealed is because, sorry, people, make sure to have your Facebooks off when you're recording. So it seems, so I believe there was like a people saw this going by, but basically it was revealed on this is coming from IGN. It's official. Ben Affleck is back as Batman. The upcoming sequel sees Jason Momoa returning to Arthur Curry. Reunited, he said via an Instagram post, Bruce and Arthur, love you and miss you, Ben. Warner Brothers Studio Tours just explored the backlot, right? Busted on set, all great things coming to Aquaman 2, my hello. So I'm guessing they saw Ben Affleck on set while the set tour was going on, and that's actually quite hilarious, to be honest. The fact that occurred, and like literally one of those one of those set tours is actually quite funny. And like to actually see that, and I'm not gonna lie, getting Ben Affleck back, I think is a great choice. To be honest, like people criticize the movies. I even criticize the movies he was in, but I thought he was a perfect Batman and a perfect Bruce Wayne. If you watch the '90s animated TV series, he literally physically looks like Bruce Wayne. Granted, the killing aspect was frustrating, but outside of that, yeah, it's I thought it was a perfect Batman, and now this officially means we've now got three Batmen in the DC universe.
Well,
Three Batmen,
currently
yeah.
operating at the
So
same time.
we have Michael Keaton, who's going to be in The Flash,
Yeah,
and Ben Affleck is. You've
yeah,
got Michael Keaton in Batgirl, which is going to be interesting, but then you've got Robert Pattinson as well.
yeah.
Now, and then you've got Jensen Ackles voicing some Batman animated series, but that doesn't really count that much because obviously not live action. We got three Batmen, and we can't even confirm if we have one Superman, which is still frustrating to me.
Everyone loves Batman.
Well, everyone's saying it's interesting that Aquaman's getting 2 films, Wonder Woman's getting 3 films,
Yeah.
Ant-Man is getting 3 movies before Superman gets a sequel to his film.
It's just, yeah. Superman's quite a hard one to do, though, really, because
He
like,
really isn't. That's the interesting thing. He actually, if like, there are some. We're actually going to do an episode on how you can do a perfect Superman adaptation. Like, oh, in my opinion, or what does it take? Because there are some great animated stories. Like All Star Superman is about Superman getting overcharged in the sun and he's dying. He's becoming so powerful that he's dying and he has to leave Earth. That's a story. Then there's another one where he versus Superman versus the Elite, where this superhero team kills, and Superman's dealing with the morals of that. But then it goes into the aspect of what would happen if Superman just let go of his morals for even the smallest point, and how scary that is. And you know, obviously, Superman Red Sun. What if he landed in Russia? You know, communist Russia.
mm,
Kingdom Come, set in the far future. Like all these great Superman stories, or Superman involved in them,
yeah.
but they just can't seem to do it. And I'm hoping we're going to be getting on to another news item actually in regards to that. But I'm hoping, you know, going forward, like, because obviously, I believe Alan Horn is actually coming back to DC. He's coming to DC to work on the movies. He's coming like in an advisory capacity. I believe it's Alan Horn, and he worked at Disney during the Marvel, the big Marvel movies the last 10 years. So hopefully he can actually help DC with that. Moving along, people. Yeah, again, you know, look forward to this. And Aquaman, I enjoyed. Hopefully, it's just a continuous improvement going into the sequel. Right, moving along, people. So it seems that, which I'm very happy to hear, Fantastic Four the movie will not be an origin story, which I'm very happy with, to be honest.
Okay. Okay. Like, so long as it doesn't start at a very obscure part of their timeline, I'm okay with that.
Well, there's a lot of hopes that this is actually set as a '60s movie originally. So set in the '60s, and then they get stuck in the quantum zone or the quantum realm, and then they get pulled out into the present day. Because obviously, in Ant-Man and the Wasp, they get sucked into the quantum realm, and then they come out, and then how much time has passed during that period of time, which I think is very interesting because obviously the snap happens now, and it's only been like 5 to 10 seconds, or what they perceive as that.
Yeah.
And also with Fantastic Four being Marvel's comic books first family, and they were set in the '60s. You know, it's the perfect time to introduce them. And obviously with Ant-Man Quantumania coming out, it'd be good to have maybe like, you know, because Kang's going to be in that. I mean, there could be a reason why this is occurring. Obviously, we've had Mr. Fantastic already now, because obviously spoilers for Doctor Strange at this point. But you know, I won't go any further than that. But we've had Mr. Fantastic now, and there are rumors that Doctor Doom is going to be a bigger character outside of the Fantastic Four, which I think is it's the best choice because Doom is everywhere.
Yeah.
Doom is all, and worked for Spider-Man. To be honest, like he was already Spider-Man for 6 months in Civil War. And yeah, honestly, like I think this is the best way to go. Also, Spider-Man was first introduced in a Fantastic Four comic book, so I think it'd be interesting if they flip it and the Fantastic Four are maybe introduced in a Spider-Man property. Do it that
Oh,
way.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. They would yeah, I think that would work.
Yeah, definitely. But we can't say much more on that until we actually know any of the casting for this movie. I still think you shouldn't cast young for this. Mid to late 30s, early 40s, I think. Like,
Yeah.
mature cats. I don't want any more, young actors. I'd like to see some mature actors come into this role, or at least, mid 30s minimum. I think they'd be best.
Yeah.
Johnny's the best one for the like late 20s. I still reckon Steve from Stranger Things is the best choice for that, but there's some fan casting for that later. Moving along to some sad news, unfortunately.
Hmm.
Nichelle Nichols, who played Lieutenant Uhura in the original Star Trek, died at 89. This is really sad because obviously I grew up on Star Trek. I never hugely watched the original series, but everyone knows who Lieutenant Uhura is. And I believe she's very famous with Captain Kirk for having the first on-screen interracial kiss. If I'm correct in saying.
Yes. Yes. She was, groundbreaking for her day for sure.
Mm. And yeah, so this is coming from theguardian.com. Nicole's son Kyle Johnson announced her death on Sunday via Facebook, saying, "I regret to inform you that a great light in the firmament no longer shines for us as it has for so many years." Nicole's death on Saturday night in Silver City was later confirmed by her agent. She succumbed to natural causes 7 years after she suffered a stroke. Her light, however, like the ancient galaxies now being seen for the first time, will remain for us and future generations to enjoy, learn from, and draw inspiration. Yes, obviously, again, even Joe Biden paid tribute to Nicole, saying, she shattered stereotypes, and our nation has lost a trailblazer of stage and screen who redefined what's possible for Black Americans and women. Yeah, and George Takei came out and saying his heart was heavy, my eyes shining like the stars are now resting upon my dearest friend, and he would more to say on the incomparable Trailblazer. So obviously, this is really sad to be honest, and again, I watched the original series. I remember for her from I believe she was in Star Trek Generations, the movie, very briefly, but I remember watching the old films of her. I didn't really see her much after that, but again, trailblazing actress for the entire time period. I believe it was the early
Mm.
60s that she was on screen at that point, and that wasn't a really big thing back then. And she really did set the stage for a lot of things.
Yeah, to be part of the original crew of Star Trek, which uh, do you reckon they knew it would be such a groundbreaking show when they first went on went on set that first time? Like, it's been a must have been a hell of a life. Um, like to people in the street, she would have been Lieutenant Uhura their entire life practically, which is
Well,
insane.
so yeah, I can confirm. So I've just read on the Guardian here. So she shared one of the first lip-to-lip interracial kisses on television with co-star William Shatner, aka Captain Kirk. The kiss of the time was considered forward-looking move on the part of the actors, as well as Star Trek creator Gene Roddenberry and the network that broadcast the show NBC. The episode in question, titled Plato's Stepchildren, aired in 1968 and was fashioned in a way that gave those involved something of an out from any potential discriminatory backlash. Uhura and Kirk did not choose to kiss, but were instead made to do so after being inhabited by aliens. Roddenberry had reportedly insisted on an integrated crew for Starship Enterprise, a bold move given that interracial marriage was still illegal in 17 US states. Only a year earlier, Variety reported Sammy Davis Jr. had gone no further than to kiss Nancy Sinatra on the cheek on Moving with Nancy. Gene Roddenberry's message views that in the far future of the 21st century, human diversity would be fully accepted. I mean, to be fair, there's actually a lot of articles about how Star Trek actually predicted a lot of technology nowadays.
It's an interesting one. Did Star Trek predict the technology, or did Star Trek inadvertently create the blueprint for society and technology?
Oh
Like
my god, it's a sci-fi chicken and egg situation in
it
this regard.
is. Like flip phones, I'm pretty sure those little handheld communicators that they have. Like I'm pretty sure they were
I mean, tablets. They had tablets. I mean, we're looking at a picture of
yeah.
Nicole's sister on her now. She's got a wireless earpiece in,
Yeah.
talking,
Yeah. It's mad, but
video calls. A
yeah.
big part of Star Trek, and again, Star Trek was a trailblazing show, still is to this day. Like, to be honest, I know they recently they've had their first non-binary characters in the shows and everything, and trans characters in Star Trek Discovery. Great actors, and great storylines going on there. But again, very sad passing to hear about Nichelle Nichols, and all the love to her family. Hopefully, they're doing okay during this time. But she got to 89. That's a good number.
Mm,
That is a good number. If you get it to 89, you've won. Obviously, it's sad. It's sad to go by natural causes, but to get to 89 is an achievement into itself. And
yeah.
it's sad passing, but praise her life. Enjoy her life. See all the light that she brought into the world, as mentioned. And yeah, we'll go forward from there. I think
Yeah.
that's the best way to close that out. Right. Moving along, people, outside of the we're staying in the sci-fi realm onto a bit of a lighter note now, but we have the Andor Disney Plus TV series coming out on now. It was originally supposed to be August 31st. It is now coming out September 31st. This stars Diego Luna, Stellan Skarsgård, Forrest Whitaker is returning from
Oh,
Rogue One.
oh, cool. Right. Okay. That's cool.
Yes, I can't remember the actress' name playing Mon Mothma. I'll probably, I really should bring the wiki up for this. It's probably best to actually do that, isn't it? It's very fair to bring up the wiki for the Andor TV series. So yeah, that's it. Genevieve O'Reilly is coming back as Mon Mothma, who portrayed Mon Mothma in Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith. So she is actually coming back all these years later to portray the same character. Stellan Skarsgård, Adria Arjona, Denise Gore, Carl Soler, Forrest Whitaker's coming back, Anton Lesser, David Heyman, and loads of other actors. So
Mm,
again, this show looks brilliant, in my opinion. It looks cinematically, looking at this show, it looks very close to how Rogue One was, especially how it was shot, the color grading,
yeah.
and it looks the very most. A lot of the Disney Plus shows have had a very on-setty look, because I think with COVID during these issues,
Mm,
but this looks like the most on-location filming they've done for a show.
yeah. Yeah. It looks very filmy. Or it looks like the films do.
And a bit of a pop for you here. This is the longest show they've got so far. So you've got 12 episodes in season 1, which chronicles the first year of this narrative. And then they're doing a second season, only one more season, which is going to be 12 episodes, but it's 3 episodes a year, just before the events of Rogue One.
Mm.
So I think it's interesting they've actually planned the 2 seasons out entirely, and we know exactly from start to finish where it is.
I think that's sensible, because if you have a situation where they didn't know if they were going to get a second season, then that leads to problematic storytelling. Like, you have to plan for a bunch of eventualities towards the end of season 1. Like, it rounds it off, but at the same time, it could continue. But this way, you've got a solid story with a set amount of time, set budget, pre-planned. It'll be better for it.
No, I definitely agree. And yeah, again, we're just looking at the trailer, people. This does look visually stunning. Like, it really
Yeah,
does. Like, and also they have said the first 3 episodes will premiere on September 31st. So we are getting 3 of the 12 episodes straight away, and then it's another 9 weeks. But this
yeah,
does remind me of Star Wars Fallen Order, the visuals as well alone. Obviously, Rogue One came first. We obviously know where this character's story ends, but to be fair, we did have a prequel of movies where we knew where Darth Vader's story ended as well. So again, I'm really looking forward to this. The thing is, though, we don't know where the other characters in the story will be. Only Forrest Whitaker and Diego Luna and Mon Mothma, we only know about those characters, their ending. We don't know about the rest. Again, yeah, and also I'm looking forward to the political intrigue of this show. Looking
mm,
forward to see how that plays out and how the Empire works more, and seeing that side of this world, the darker, grittier side of Star Wars.
yeah, yeah. It'll be it's going a bit deeper into the fabric of the universe. Yeah,
Again, yeah, just looks great. Just looks absolutely great. Again, September 31st for the first free episode premiere. Looking forward to that. Right, moving along, people, to the show that I'm very confused by, which is Cyberpunk Edge Runners. This is a new
Yes.
show from CD Projekt Red in conjunction with Netflix, and this looks very. How can I put? Actually, to be fair, you've actually got some initial conversation points in this, Fergus. So how about you take
Yeah,
this?
I have recently seen this trailer. To be honest, I found the trailer a bit confusing as to figuring out what was actually going on. It did kind of lose me a bit. I think it was how long was the trailer? Like 2 minutes long.
It's
Lost
about 2.5 minutes long. Yeah,
Yeah, lost me at a minute and a half, I think. There's quite a lot going on. My interpretation of this is it looks great. It's gonna be an interesting story with a lot of different characters and a lot of like intertwining, I think. As I said, the one character, one narrative didn't really come through in the trailer. So yeah, there's a lot of universe to explore, and a lot of individual characters trying to explore as much of it as possible. Yeah, I will definitely be watching this. Um, I'm not sure how good it's going to be. If I'm honest.
I believe it is 10 episodes. I believe it is. I believe it is. If we're looking at the IMDb now,
10
uh,
episodes.
there are 10
Okay.
episodes. I have no idea any of these actors, unfortunately, voice actors. But yeah, so the premise of the show is a street kid trying to survive in a technology and body modification obsessed city of the future, having everything to lose. He chooses to stay alive, becoming an edge runner, a mercenary outlaw, also known as a cyberpunk. Right. Okay.
Mm.
So that premise sounds really interesting. But again, going from that trailer, I have no, again, this it needed more like we're actually getting to this. We're the main topic this week is top 5 anime, and we'll get into this a bit later. But I enjoyed Mob Psycho 100. When I
Mm.
first saw the footage for that, I didn't know what the fuck was going on. A lot of the
Yeah.
time, I like the trailers for that and had that. But when I got into it, I actually did understand it quite a bit. This, I think, needs a more concise trailer to know what's going on. I wouldn't have guessed that this is about, obviously we have a main protagonist, but we don't know he's a edge runner. We don't know like all this stuff and everything. I think that's what's needed for this
Yeah.
trailer.
Yeah. It's not introduced the world's. Well, no, it has. It looks good, but then
But we've already seen this one in
it's
video game form.
yes, I would assume most people that would be watching this would have played or watched someone play the game. Possibly not though. I don't know how they would have approached it, but the game came out a couple of years
It's
ago
the
now.
trailers too. Again, I understand the whole cyberpunk aspect of like you want to be quick with your cuts. But to be fair though, right, I'm going to take it back to a lot of cyberpunk, or the era of cyberpunk from the 80s. A lot of the stuff wasn't quick. It was methodically shot. It had great pacing, like Terminator, Blade Runner. It's stuck on shots within the premise, and I
Mm.
feel like if you have a lot of these gorgeous visuals, this is too quick cut for a
It's
trailer.
too much.
It's too much. It really is too
Yeah,
much. Like,
yeah,
I mean, you had the Matrix, the Animatrix. Like
yeah.
that was 9 short stories. I understand. Granted, those were anthology series, but you kind of understood what was going on in each one.
Mm.
Love, Death and Robots has a similar issue, to be honest, with their trailers. They cut, but to be fair though, that's multiple stories. This could be multiple stories. I don't know, but supposedly it's just one story, and I really
It's
don't.
yeah,
It's too much.
yeah. I so it's basically a gang of kids doing the Street Kid playthrough of Cyberpunk.
But
Probably.
it's supposedly it follows this one kid. And I'm like, cool, we see him a
It
lot in the
doesn't feel
trailer,
like
but
it.
no, exactly. Yeah, we see a gang in the trailer, and the Arasaka Tower is mentioned, and obviously I do think it's cool that we get the UI from the video game on the screens. I think that's really cool. But outside
Mm.
of that, this trailer just needs to be more concise. But we'll get into the Netflix conversation a little bit later. But yeah, I don't know about this show, to be honest. I'm gonna watch it. We're gonna review it. We'll probably review it the weekend it comes out.
Yeah,
We'll definitely
yeah,
doing that,
yeah,
people. But
yeah.
outside of that, yeah, I don't know, to be honest, at the
We're doing
moment.
the first 3 episodes and hoping for the best. Yeah,
I'll watch it all. I'll watch it all. To be fair, it's 10 episodes. If it's half an hour an episode, it's 5 hours. So it's easy to watch, and we could do a review for that. So yeah, people.
yeah.
Right, moving along to a news I'm very happy with. Fergus, have you seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, the anime?
Yes, yes, I have.
Now, do you remember a certain character? Not my cabbages.
Oh, good lord.
That character. Do you remember
Yeah.
him? He's
Yes.
coming back, and it turns out
Yay.
the actor who voiced him is reprising the role in live action. Supposedly, this is coming from
Oh, that's
Avatar
good.
News. James Say has been cast as the Cabbage Merchant in the live-action Avatar: Last Airbender series. He was the original voice actor of the Cabbage Merchant in the animated series, and the Cabbage Merchant's son, the CEO of Cabbage Corp in The Legend of Korra. It's just fun news. I've also
Yeah.
heard that Danny Pudi is going to be in Avatar: Last Airbender as well.
Okay.
So you know who Danny Pudi is? He is Abed from Community.
Ah, yes. I thought the name was familiar. That's
So
good.
yeah, so this coming from Screen Rant. This coming from Screen Rant. The Last Airbender reportedly cast Danny Pudi as the role of the mechanist, who's obviously his son is in the wheelchair. In the first
Hmm.
season, they have the airbending nation where they have like machines to help them fly, and then
Yeah.
he actually creates all the airships, which I believe that's true. Again, love this
Okay.
actor. I think it's really great. It's gonna be in it. It's not 100% confirmed. I'm kind of hoping that we get a trailer for this soon because like they've been
Yeah.
filming for quite a while now, and if we're only hearing casting news now, we must be at least getting a second season.
Oh, I would hope so. I mean, the
I mean, they did cancel
animated.
Cowboy Bebop after one season, which is still hurts me. It's a thing you've heard in previous podcast people, but yeah.
Yeah, the animated series has been very popular for some time, with quite a main-ish stream Western audience, probably more so than Cowboy Bebop
Oh
was.
yeah, very much so, very much so.
So I think it's got a good backing behind it to continue for multiple seasons. Say this now, come
It
back in a
only
year and
needs 3 seasons. It was
yeah,
3 books.
yeah,
Realistically, you could do it in 3 seasons, maybe 4 if you wanted to stretch it, or if you
mm,
wanted to do the book 4 that they originally wanted to do. I believe they wanted to do a book 4 with Zuko, and that's
mm,
where they turned to the novels. But just don't try doing it too much. Do The Witcher. Plan these seasons out, or like other animated shows or whatnot. But yeah, Netflix, please, please, dear God, just get this right. Let this be the first live action anime adaptation, video game adaptation that works really well for you.
yeah.
Please, dear
Let's hope.
God. Oh, Jesus. Right, moving on, people. Speaking of TV series and ending, the Arrowverse is over, Fergus, pretty much.
No, I don't know if ever saw the Arrowverse.
You never watched
Honestly,
Arrow or anything like that? Or,
no.
no. So it turns out that Arrow is ending, started in 2022. This started in 2012, and now it's
Mm,
ending in 2023. So it'll be 11 years by the time this wraps. Coming from IGN, as reported by The Wrap, executive producer Eric Wallace has announced that The Flash's 9th season will be its last, writing that Barry Allen has reached the starting gates for his last race. So many amazing people have given their talents, time, and love to bring this wonderful show to life each week, Wallace said in a statement. So as we get ready to honor the show's incredible legacy with our exciting final chapter, I want to say thank you to our phenomenal cast, writers, producers, and crew over the years who helped make The Flash the show. The Flash is such an unforgettable experience for audiences around the world. Now, and now it's only going to be 13 episodes, and this actually finishes just before the Flash movie comes out. So that's an interesting thing, to be honest. But I'm so hoping they get Stephen Amell back for the final season. Like, Stephen Amell started off the Arrow versus Arrow. It's only fitting to have him come back because
mm,
obviously you don't know this, but the Flash actually premiered in Arrow first, so it's a backdoor thing. So Barry Allen appeared in an episode of Arrow in the second season, and then it got its show in the third when it went into its third season. I think it would only be fitting to bring Supergirl and Arrow back, even though he's dead, uh, but an alternate version for the final season. I think that'd be the best way to wrap it up. And it's time
yeah,
travel. He could time travel.
of course it can.
Where's the Flash?
Well,
To be fair, he's one of the OG time travelers.
yeah, yeah. You'd hope they'd go all out for tying up something that has been quite so popular and has
Well,
been going on for quite so long.
do you know the whole loop thing with the Flash?
He runs around the world, so time goes backwards.
No. So do you know how the Flash technically gets his powers in the comic books in one iteration?
No, I
So
don't think I do.
do you know how he gets his powers originally? So basically, it's
Lightning strike.
yes. So he's in his
Yeah.
laboratory at his police station. Lightning hits him. He hits a bunch of chemicals, and that's how he gets his powers.
Mm.
In the comic books, there's an iteration where the lightning bolt that hit him is Barry Allen from the future. So it's a closed circuit.
That'd be cool. Yeah, okay.
I actually quite like that concept. To
Mm,
be honest, I think it's a nice loop. To be honest, and yeah, again, Grant Gustin. A lot of people have been saying they want Grant Gustin to just take over the live action Flash role. Just give it to him. But he's been playing this for character for 10 years now, no doubt. He probably wants a break and to move on to something else.
yeah.
He'll
I
probably end up joining the Marvel universe at some point, like every other actor at this point. But who knows? Right. Moving along to Marvel, as I was saying. So it turns out they've announced the D23 Expo lineup coming up in September. So D20, I thought D23 was in August, but it's actually September now. Same day as the Ubisoft Forward as well, I believe.
oh,
So on the Friday is Marvel Draw Live, drawing Brian Crosby, Marvel's director of theme and entertainment, for a real life step-by-step tutorial on how to draw some Marvel's iconic characters.
okay.
So Saturday is what I'm looking forward to, because it's not just Marvel. Whole D23 presentation has come from businesswire.com. Saturday, September 10th at 10 a.m. Pacific Central Time. That's about 6 p.m., 6 p.m. in the UK.
Mm,
As previously announced, filmmakers, celebrity, talent, and surprise guests from Marvel Studios will join Lucasfilm and others on stage at Hall D23 to showcase theatrical and Disney Plus titles. Going behind the scenes of these studios' highly anticipated film specials, and special attendees will see exclusive footage and be among the first to learn what's going on in the world.
all things Star Wars.
Star Wars and Marvel. That's
Yeah.
what it's going to be.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping, because if you listen to our last episode, people, we talked about Phase 6. There are 7 titles they didn't announce. There was no Deadpool. There was no X-Men. There was there was no Spider-Man. There was none of
Mm,
that. And I bet that's what's going to be announced. We're probably getting those announcements. But Ryan Reynolds is probably going to be there. We might get the Fantastic Four casting. You never know. It
mm,
may happen at D23. That'd be pretty interesting to do there. But yeah, Lucasfilm, I know they're currently filming the Jude Law series, a Star Wars TV series.
mm.
And we'll probably get more in the Mandalorian season 3 and maybe Ahsoka, and whatever Star Wars properties coming up. Hopefully, we're going to see more of the Mandalorian season 3, and if we're going to get a Boba Fett season 2. So my intrigue is like, I'm a bit frustrated with these presentations. I understand people go to see these, but a lot of people in the world don't have that opportunity. They can only really see the trailers later on.
Yeah.
I think they should do digital passes. Like, you can buy a digital pass to watch the panel.
I think that would be good. Yeah, no, absolutely. There would be a lot of audience for that for sure. I was just thinking,
If E3, Summer Games Fest, and Gamescom can do it, why can't Comic Con
yeah,
and Disney? Or you have to have a Disney Plus subscription to watch it. Disney Plus have a a live stream event or recap event. They stream it and then it's put online on Disney Plus. You can watch it. That'd be interesting.
I have a feeling that this is becoming more common. I can't remember which expo it is that I was recently looking at, but it had a digital pass option. I'd have to look at my search history to figure out which one. But I think it is coming. Like
I mean,
virtual panels in themselves. So
well, DC has DC Fandom. They're an
yeah,
entire digital event. It wasn't live. It wasn't in person. This is digital. I believe there are rumors that might be another one this year, but it's all the DC announcements coming up. It's a 2-hour event. I
mm.
remember watching it on my birthday at like 1 o'clock in the morning, and just all these announcements. Why can't we get that? I'd pay 20 quid. Like Warcraft, BlizzCon.
Yeah. I mean,
BlizzCon have as well.
you wouldn't even need to charge really. Like, if you think about it, you want your trailers to be shared
But
on
I think
social
it's
media
more. I think it's
forums
more
and
the exclusive footage they show at the panels. That only panel it that people go there to see. But I'm thinking, yeah, but
uh,
with the way the world's going, and maybe just isn't just Disney I'm on about. It's like Comic Con. Comic Con tickets are very hard to get for Comic Con in general. I've heard they go in minutes, like a lot of the time. You go
San
into
Diego.
massive queues. Yeah, San
Yes,
Diego
yeah.
Comic Con, and people around the world don't get the opportunity. It's very expensive to travel now.
Yeah.
Make it more cost effective and have these panels live streamed.
Yeah.
And I think that'd be great to do. I'd pay 20 to 30 quid to have the opportunity to watch all these events live. I'd actually pay that. I think it'd be very, very interesting, to be honest.
Mm. I think it is the future, yeah. yeah, I hope people adapt. Adaptation is definitely needed from the IRL Expo community.
Definitely, most definitely. Right, people. Switching along to another property. Oh, we're wrapping up soon. So it seems they showed the first Gotham Knights gameplay footage from the first 60 minutes of the game. It starts off with the Bat family in a group, and you get to decide who you get to play as. This is from the IGN first look. So this is actually like going through the first 16 minutes. You play as Batgirl. I'm half and half of this, to be honest. Looks interesting. Now I know this has been developed for Unreal Engine 4. It looks interesting. The animation looks smooth. Like looks pretty smooth from what we're seeing. Like but I don't know. I'm just wondering because obviously we've got Suicide Squad coming out. I'm wondering how this is going to play out. So obviously we're not me myself and Fergus are just looking at this now. But look, just looking at some of the footage, it doesn't look next gen, but it could just be. Now, obviously, this is 1080p, possibly running on PS4, or it's just compressed for YouTube. It could look lot better on console and PC.
Yeah, I think so. If you're running a 4K Super Mega version, I'm sure it will look a lot better. But there is quite a big leap between the Unreal 4 and the Unreal 5 games. Like developing on Unreal 4, when you're going up against games that are coming out on Unreal 5, you are going to look less good. Despite the game is looking brilliant. There's a lot going on there, and it doesn't look bad. But in comparison to, say, the Matrix's
Tech demo.
ultra realistic tech demo, it's not in the same ballpark. It's unfortunate that well, there has to
I do want to emphasize it's not all about graphics at the end of the day. It's
No.
nowhere near, none slightest. And I'm going to be buying this day one anyway because I've bought every Arkham game. I've enjoyed all of them. I've had a bit of gripes with a couple of them, and this is from the same studio that brought us Arkham Origins, which I know people had critiques of that game as well. But hopefully, this is different going forward. I don't know. I just start just thinking like looking at like the voice acting is very. I don't know. It doesn't feel as smooth, which is a bit frustrating. But again, like the animations do look great though. Like the animations do look really good.
Yeah, as long as it's fun, right? Like we want good battling, good exploration, good.
And if the story's really good, like
finding.
Arkham Origins had a really good story. I know they have said that Batman is dead and the Joker is really dead, and I'm very happy with that. I don't want any of this 2/3 way through the story. It was the Joker all along. I'm sick and tired of hearing that story. Like
we have to move on from the Joker.
Honestly, he has so many other villains, and this is the Court of Owls.
Yeah,
Make it fully centric to the Court of Owls. It's only the best way to go. It's really only the best way to go. But yeah, no, again, really looking forward to this, seeing how that plays out. Right, quickly moving along. So, one of the last things we're going to be reporting is studio from which three developers are making an online action game set in feudal Japan. The studio is called Dark Passengers, and it's the first game. The first game doesn't have a name yet, but it's not much to really report on this so far. But they describe a title that sounds like it will borrow elements from games like Titanfall and Absolver. This comes from Engadget.com. Dark Passage's first game doesn't have a name yet, but the studio's website provides some details of the project. Ben and Mikowski say they want to create an online multiplayer game that support for both competitive and cooperative play. They describe a title that sounds like it will borrow elements from games like Titanfall and Absolver. A low-commercial system will allow players to perform incredible feats such as running on arrows that were fired by other players, fast climbing on vertical surfaces with the use of shuku claws, or using a Yari spear like a pole to jump over obstacles, the studio said. Engaging in close combat, range combat will demand as much dexterity and tactics and close cooperation with teammates. That sounds really interesting, to be fair.
Yeah, it'd be like a proper real, like as it says, so like cooperating between range and melee combat, but like make it very I understand. It's not it could be very interesting actually.
Using arrows as platforms to get up from the sounds of it is very
first,
very Crouching Tiger wushu-esque to a degree, actually.
Yeah.
It is wushu. I'm thinking the term wushu correct.
The one where they're on
Where they,
cranes and they fly
yeah,
around. Yeah, I
yeah,
think so. It's
yeah.
that one. Yeah.
Again,
No, that would be
but
good.
that's Chinese, I believe, not Japanese. So I don't know
Mm.
the exact word of the Japanese version. I don't want to offend anyone by saying it's just what I'm thinking by that sort of style. So
It
yeah,
does kind of sound like it, doesn't it? Yeah.
yes, most definitely, most definitely. But yeah, so people, that is it for the news section, right? We didn't really have much for games this week. It seems that games were a bit light on the news this week. Going off of that though, I want to thank everyone for joining us for the news section. We're going to be getting into after the ad break. We're going to be getting to our top 5 anime choices and how we feel about each of them. We'll probably be doing some honorable mentions as well. Definitely some interesting choices between the both of us. Looking out for some interesting animatics between going forward when we in the YouTube version of the show. But yeah, right. We're going to take a quick break, people. The ad. We'll be right back after this.
An illegal spy agency discovers the theft of a prototype weapon. Derek, codename Confused Llama, and his handler, Frank, codename Majestic Vole, investigate the theft. A naive man with fanciful notions, Derek sets out on his inept journey to reclaim the weapon from villainous hands, unaware of the hidden tale following him. Enter the world of Confused Llama, A Spy's Tale, a short comedic spy thriller available on Amazon in paperback or Kindle.
And welcome back, people. Obviously, go check out James's book, Confused Llama, A Spy's Tale on Amazon and Kindle, voiced by the lovely Doug in the advert there. Right, people, it's time for one of our lovely topics. We usually get into the topical debate, or we have a top list, or our personal top list. And this week, obviously, we've had a bit of VTubing in the past, and what an episode that was. It was an interesting episode, to say the least. I know Fergus was just loving doing that episode. He's been wanting to do that for quite a while. And this is another episode that he's been wanting to do for quite a while, to be honest. He has been wanting to do anime movies, but I have had to say to him before, I'm very non-nerdy, non-geeky in that sense. I'm not actually seen that many anime movies. It classes anime. We'll get to that in a second. So we decided to just fall on our personal top 5 animes that we always enjoy. So I do have to ask though, Fergus. We mentioned this in the news section.
Mm.
Without looking at the actual definition, what do you class as an anime?
Japanese-based animation story, TV series, movie, often goes into games as well. I would still class, like, I'm probably a bit old school in still classing it as exclusively Japanese, because I know the more animation studios are doing the same thing and are opening in South Korea, in China. I know the West is trying to do more as well, actually. Personally, I'm sticking with the Japanese because the voice acting.
You traditionalist, how dare you?
I know it's an ongoing argument in the community. I think it's fairly split now because a lot of good shows have come out of, for instance, China, and it's quite hard to tell the difference.
So yeah, I do have to say, because in Japan, anime is literally just animation.
Yeah,
But in the West, we've adopted that as to be more culturally, anime is seen as Japanese animation.
yeah,
But
which it is. I mean, culturally speaking, it doesn't sometimes translate very well.
the question is, though, right? The question is, okay, right. So this is the reason why my list is actually a little bit difficult, because I did want to put a couple of anime on there, which basically I thought were anime, but they're not classed as anime. So we'll get into honorable mentions in a minute. But Avatar: The Last Airbender,
Yeah.
I wanted to put on there because it's based in Asian culture and it's in stylized in anime. It is but it's a Western anime.
Yes, it's that's very much in the grey area. I think Last Airbender. Yeah, I see what you mean. Like, its original voice acting cast is in English,
But it was animated in Asia.
Yes, it is. It's an interesting one, isn't it? I think that Last Airbender very much straddles a line with that one. It both is and isn't anime. I don't know.
I would personally really hugely like to class as anime, to be honest. I think I think that's the
Yeah.
best way. I think that is the best way to go about it. To be honest, I think it's anime. I think like at the end of the day, if it looks like anime, if it walks like anime, it talks like if it's a duck. If it walks like dust, if it quacks like a duck, it's anime. That's how I'm gonna say it basically. And I don't care what any of you say. Avatar: The Last Airbender is an anime. Come at me. Actually, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. But yeah, people. Right. So again, I knew you were gonna go the line of Japanese traditionalists in that sense. I'm more fluid to that degree. I can accept animes outside of Japanese, traditional Japanese anime. So yeah, but right. So what we're going to be doing is, people, if you've been with us for many episodes, we're going to be going through a lovely honorable mentions list. Not many. We won't be diving into these too much, and then we'll be getting into our top fives. For me, it's a top five. For Fergus, it's more the anime he's chosen, all pretty much 10 out of 10s across the board for him. So it's more of just a preference choice of which one he goes through. So we're going to be doing it that way, as you've seen in previous episodes, which we generally tend to do that. So I know Chaz did this to me before and I did this to him, but Fergus, do you want to give us your honorable mentions quickly?
Honorable mentions. There are so many to even. Death Note, I'm going to give a honorable mention to. I have given it a 10 out of 10, but it is going to be basically everyone's 10 out of 10. So I wanted to leave room to talk about some stuff that you may not have heard of already. Let's see. Laid Back Camp. It's an interesting one. It's anime girls go camping, often in the winter, in places of interest in Japan. They're all real places and they're all real campsites. And it does also teach you survival techniques of how to not to freeze to death, how to light a fire, this sort of thing. I watched this primarily during lockdown as I wasn't able to go outside and do these things myself.
It looks stunning.
It looks stunning. There's a
I saw
full-length
Mount
feature
Fuji there.
film. Yeah, there's a lot of Mount Fuji. They do like Mount Fuji. I think the full-length feature film has recently been released, and there is a VR game experience where you could go camping in VR with the anime girls.
Of course
It's
there is.
it's something. It's something. What else? Again, a movie, so it didn't qualify for the no, it's a TV series. Movie's coming later. Odd Taxi, if you've not seen it already.
Oh, I have seen images of this. I have specifically this character.
Yeah, taxi driving walrus, I think I'm right in saying, gets involved in Tokyo-based intrigue. It just sort of roll around meeting interesting characters, but they're all somehow connected, and it's all a bit mysterious, and there's a mystery to solve and this sort of thing. So I'd very much recommend that as well. I think it's on Netflix now. Quite a lot of stuff is on Netflix.
I mean, to be fair, you could just get on Crunchyroll because it is cheaper in the UK now, which I thought was odd for them to do.
Yeah, I know actually. There's so much on there now. And you can stream it through your Switch if you've got a Switch. You can bypass your smart TV. Final honorable mention: the Monogatari series. Now, there's a lot of this, like Baka Monogatari and several others, but absolutely beautiful, very interesting, very Japanese stories, often involving like Shinto spirits and this sort of thing. It can be quite hard to follow because the writing and the sense of humor is very word based, and of course it is originally Japanese, so it's not all come across particularly well. But it is definitely worth a look if you're up for a bit of a wordy challenge, admittedly. But I think that I'll leave that as honorable mentions because the rest will be just mentions.
Actually, listen, before we get into my honorable mentions, because I'm going to talk about these briefly. So, is there any anime that you've like? Let's keep a very short list. But is there any anime that you've tried to watch that you just couldn't get into?
Yeah, controversially, Attack on Titan.
Oh, we'll get that a bit later for myself, actually.
Yeah, I don't know what it like. The giant, I don't know what it was, but I couldn't stand watching the giants, and then the whole eating thing, them eating people, and I don't know. It just really turned me off. I know it's a really good, well-renowned series, but I've really struggled to get into it. Same with JoJo as well, actually. I have really tried with JoJo, but I've not got beyond the first series. It's again just something about it has really turned me off.
Fair enough. Well then. So right. So what we'll do is I'll go through the animes that I've tried, and then the honorable mentions for myself. So we're gonna start with an anime that I tried. I tried the anime Devilman Crybaby.
Yes,
It's I believe this was the one on Netflix,
yes, I've seen
and
this.
I tried so hard to watch this anime, like so hard, and it was just too much. It was just like it was just
Yeah,
too there was just too much going on in it, and I'm a very tame when it comes to anime to a degree, but there was a point where like it got very very weird and odd and very fucked up, like really fucked up to a degree, and I just couldn't watch it, and I kind of frustrated because there was an intriguing concept there, but I just couldn't do it. The next one is the Starship Troopers anime from 1986. So the anime itself was, I believe it's only like 6 episodes long. So I'm just bringing basic people were streaming it now, but it was 6 episodes long, and this is actually a more adaptation. So it's a 1988 anime, Japanese anime. It was never released on DVD. It's only available sort of on Laserdisc transcription has been accumulated
wow.
errors and defects. Yeah, this is just going on basically YouTube is I saw this on YouTube. Uh Decided to fan sub the series. So basically, they can enjoy the series on there. But again,
Mm,
this is like very old school anime
yeah,
style. And looking at the actual series itself, it's very like it does follow like the old school concepts quite a bit because obviously Starship Troopers, as I mentioned before in previous podcast episodes, is heavily basis for a lot of Japanese anime today. So it's interesting that like a lot of the mechs, Gundam is based off of
mm.
Starship Troopers. So it's interesting to see an anime based on Starship Troopers not do that well supposedly, or not being able to get it, which I think is very interesting. And it didn't continue on. Obviously, we've
Well,
had adaptations since, but
yeah. The anime scene in the 80s is very different to how it is now. Like, Japan made anime for Japan, never really thought about exporting it, never really thought about localizing it. I think the major breakthrough that changed this was the
Akira, I'd say.
yes, the Akira movie.
And even
And
then, it
that
was more cult to that time period.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, even when I was, 15, 16, 17, just getting hold of manga was very hard.
Hmm.
Like, or just the latest anime series. Like, um, even in Japan, anime wasn't very big in the 80s. So the anime that did get made all of it was effectively a blueprint for what came next. And the reason it didn't do well is because it just wasn't as big a phenomenon as it is now.
So that's fair, dude, to be honest. Right. So quickly wrapping mine up. A couple more. It's Jujutsu Kaisen. I tried. I did actually watch about 18, 19 episodes of this, but I never continued. And I know the movie has done stupidly well financially. I believe the movie did
Yeah.
stupidly well. Like I believe it is. I know Dragon Ball had the highest rating at one point. I believe, or My Hero did, or was it Demon Slayer? It was one of those three. And I don't know if Jujutsu Kaisen beat those if for a box office, but again, lovely, interesting concept for a show. I think I just dropped off. I guess like eh, there's only like a limited certain anime I can watch, and I think at the time it was just seeing such a difference between the narratives. I could only focus on one at a time. Lovely concept of a show. I'll probably go back to it at some point after it's been on for a bit longer. I'll probably get that a watch, but yeah, that's another one. The final one I want to talk about is Code Geass. So a couple of reaction channels I watched. This was a very interesting show. I don't know what the hell was going on half the time, but again, it looked like an interesting concept, but I don't know. I just could not get into it. I don't know what it was, and it was very dark. I heard it was actually a very dark show to actually get into, like the lock and all that stuff, and
Yeah, I
again,
don't know if I've
yeah.
seen Code Geass actually.
Fergus said, "Oh wow, I found an anime that Fergus has never heard of before." So
I've heard of it. I've just not seen it. Like, I've not watched a huge amount of the mech stuff.
Even
Focus.
Gundam, I wasn't hugely into growing up. I loved the concept,
Mhm.
but you know, but yeah. Again, honestly, like this is an interesting concept. But yeah, no, that's my final anime I tried. My honorable mentions for me, we're going to quickly run through these. Is I've got to mention Pokemon. Pokemon is
Oh,
obviously Pokemon has got to be mentioned straight away because
yes.
that is pretty much everyone's intro anime in the West. That a lot of us back in the day wouldn't have even thought of that as an anime, but because it was just
Mm.
a kids TV show on in the mornings. Obviously, the other one. If I'm going to talk about Pokemon, what's the other one I have to talk about at that time period?
We're talking Digimon.
Damn right we are.
Good old Digimon.
The first time I ever heard of the song Kids in America in the Digimon the movie,
Mm.
which was epic. Also, I got to give Pokemon credit. That's the first time I ever properly cried at an animated movie. Like,
Is
at,
this
at
the first movie with the
the
crying
Ash Ketchum, of
Pikachu?
course it was. The Ash Ketchum
Yeah,
bit. Yeah, of course it
yeah,
was.
yeah,
It was
yeah.
ridiculous. And I was very young when that came out. But, and obviously you got the Mew card as well when you went to go see it, which was
Mm.
awesome. But I just love that. I just love that series. It's still going today. I could not name the 900 Pokemon that there are now, but again, like awesome. Another anime I wanted to put on there, but I just couldn't. Was Avatar: The Last Airbender, but we've already spoke about that. So quickly round these up. Demon Slayer, I did want to put on my top 5. I did really enjoy the first season. I thought the animation in the first season was just stunning, absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
But when it came to the movie, I thought the first half of the movie was quite slow, and then it sort of like sped up from there. Again, this show is visually stunning, like stupidly visually stunning. But outside of that, like I don't know. And also, when they did the second season, half of the second season was just the movie cut,
Yeah.
which I
Yeah.
thought was weird. We waited so long for the second season and just did that. So I'm probably going to go back to it eventually. And I know the manga's finished now, and they actually did have an ending. I
Mm.
had one of those controversial endings, but again, like we'll see how that plays out. Right, finishing up, Mob Psycho 100. I didn't mention that earlier. Thought it was a brilliant show. Animation was amazing. I didn't know what was going on half the time, but I did kind of follow along with it. One Punch Man. Obviously, got to mention that. Thought the first season was brilliant. Dropped off on the second. Attack on Titan. I did mention. I'm with you. I actually did quite enjoy the first few seasons. Obviously, everyone loves the first intro song to that show. Everyone knew that intro song, but I just dropped off. And I'll probably watch it when it eventually comes out this Christmas, like a winter 2022. The final one, because obviously the creator recently passed away during the Pokemon Digimon era, is Yu-Gi-Oh.
Mm.
It's time to
Yeah.
duel. Again, I had no concept in how to play any of these card games, Pokemon, Digimon, or Yu-Gi-Oh. But Yu-Gi-Oh was just such an interesting concept, and yeah, I really enjoyed that. So yeah, those are my honorable mentions. Right, so we're gonna get into our top 5 now. We'll probably speed through these because obviously we went through the anime, I'll mention quite a bit. But right, so Fergus, do you want to give me your
Hello.
So basically, I say my number 5, but your inconsequential number 5, essentially your non-specific number 5.
I think this is coming in at 5. It's also coming in probably quite hard. Like this is a series that has kind of stuck with me probably for So Magical Girl Sight. So especially in modern era, magical girl animes tend to be quite horror filled and gore filled to sort of juxtapose the whole cutesy image side of things.
So yeah, we're basically looking at a YouTube video right now. It says this following content may contain topics related to suicide,
Yeah, that sounds right.
and self-harm.
It is
And
really brutal.
it won't even let me play it.
No.
Wow, that won't actually let me play this.
Yeah, so the main character is.
Not expect that. Sorry, I did not expect. I've never seen that on YouTube before.
Yeah.
Jesus. Okay.
Yeah, and then now we're going to major content one. Sorry.
Sorry. Yeah. No. Basically, there is a. I'm not going to go through all of these because I can't really say. But non-exhaustive content warning: blood, gore, profanity, partial nudity, general graphic violence, bullying, domestic abuse, self-harm, depression, suicide. Oh God. Right. I'm going to have to stop there. Okay. Right. You continue on. We'll.
Well, I'll try and make it.
As lean as possible.
As lean as possible. Basically, main character bullied terribly at school, bullied terribly at home, um, trying to make some sort of life for herself, but frankly, everything is going against her. She happens upon a mysterious website called Magical Girl Site, which is a site that is promising to give her magical girl powers, so she'll get a weapon that she'll be able to help the world using the power of love and friendship and all this sort of stuff. And she gets introduced to other magical girls who have also used this site. Catch with the weapon, every use uses some of her life force. So she's got a reduced lifespan because of this, but it gets her out of the shit that she's in beforehand. Yeah, so they end up. It basically turns into a battle royale against all the other magical girls who were their friends. And they have to be basically whittle it down to one, because there's some event called the Tempest coming that's never really explained as to what it is, and there has to be one mega magical girl at the end to deal with this. I mean, it's not especially well explained. It's kind of more about the friendships and the battling along the way. But as noted at the beginning, it is very brutal. It's very R-rated. But in like a brutal way rather than anything else. But it has definitely stuck with me. Like, yeah,
Honestly, yeah, it's like when you say like a magical site, Jesus Christ, sorry people, we got
it's
this
really bad bullying. Yeah, and
Yeah.
it's depicted. So I mean, like, all of the warnings for this one, but it does need to be mentioned because it is, especially of this specific genre, which is pretty specific. To be fair, it is out there.
I think like when it comes to like this sort of anime, I just can't watch it.
No,
I, I'm more into
yeah.
my like. We'll get into you'll know my genre of like anime when we get to it, but just looking at this show, it's quite dark. It is.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And when you mentioned like going to a website to get this magic card, I automatically thought of Death Note. Like it has a similar concept to Death Note, being able to like
yeah. It's not far off.
But then it turns into a battle royale, which is
I
definitely
guess
not a Death Note.
Yes, imagine if like 6 people had a Death Note. So well, kind of, but all the powers are different. So like one is a gun that makes people teleport somewhere. One is a switchblade that makes people heal. Like they're all a bit counter. Oh, and there's a strange alien. I want to say alien humanoid robot species that are sort of maintaining the whole thing, who are kind of like the website admins. They're annotates, mate. Watch it, but also extreme caution approach.
This is not an anime for kids, by the way.
No, absolutely not.
No.
I think I watched this on Amazon. I think it's still there. This is
Okay.
definitely not the most messed up anime I've watched on Amazon, I have to say, but we're not talking about the other one.
All right, then.
Fuck me. I think this is
well then. Okay then. Right. So we're going from basically, I've never been onto YouTube and it's told me I cannot watch a video because the video is still on YouTube.
Yeah.
I couldn't even watch it, which is weird. And for me, I'm going in the completely opposite direction now. Oh, I'm going to. Well, actually, to be fair, like this is So my number 5 is The Rising of the Shield Hero. It is an anime based about Nafumi Iwatani, and he's going to Japanese youth gets summoned to a parallel world with 3 other guys. It's basically a video game world. They get summoned to a video game world essentially. But the interesting thing is, the 4 heroes that get taken to this world, they all get assigned a weapon: a sword, a spear, a bow, and a shield. The problem is, though, these characters cannot pick up a weapon of another type. So, interesting for the other 3 guys, but for the shield hero, he cannot pick up any weapon. It just disappears automatically from his hands. So he has to like have people fight for him. Demi humans, as they're called. And like he can basically, when he levels up, it's like a video game. He can level up. He could get any new skills. I don't want to go into too much detail with the shields because it's a really interesting concept with like upgrading like the shield and everything. But there's obviously with all anime, there's a demon element, that kind of comes into it. And again, this is just really interesting show. I watched this like a few years ago. The first season came out 3 years ago, I want to say. Billy Kravitz, I believe the voice actor who passed away recently. He voiced Naofumi in the first season. Obviously, he passed away, unfortunately. Condolences to his family. But yeah, no, this was just a brilliant. It is just a brilliant show. The anime was renewed for 2 seasons as well right away, and it has like some interesting concepts. It has it actually has a slight tie to Final Fantasy to a degree. One of the characters is like a almost like human slash chocobo, like a chunky chocobo, which is Chocobo, how you want to pronounce it. It's just very funny. And
Yeah.
this is on Crunchyroll with the English dub and and this is actually one of those English dubs that I think works really well, because I know a lot of people don't like English dubbing. I'm all for it, to be honest. I don't care what anyone says. I'm this type of person that likes to sort of watch things and listen at the same time, so I can't really read anime dialogue, and then I like watching the visuals. That's how I am.
Yeah.
But when it
Yeah.
comes to this anime, I highly recommend it. It's visually stunning. Like basically, in the first episode, he gets accused of a very bad act against a woman, and the whole first season is about him trying to clear his name, pretty much, or not clear his name, but the entire world thinks he is that type of person. But actually, he's not. He was innocent, but this woman did it on purpose to get all the money from him and to basically the shield hero is seen as a pariah in that world. There's all this whole free hero cardinal system, and yeah, there's a very religious aspect to it. There's a religious aspect to the show as well that plays out. It's very, very interesting. And also the characters who are his weapons are his slaves. He has to have them as slaves,
Yeah.
and they're tied to him through blood. And if they don't listen to him, they get punished, like electronically zapped, punished wise. Interesting concept, but when you think that, you think he's bad. No, it's not though. It's a very interesting concept and it goes into the show, and I highly recommend it. Highly recommend it. That is my number 5. That's the Rising of the Shield Hero. Season 2 has finished now in the Japanese dub, and it's believed it's finishing. Either it's just finished or it's finishing very soon in the English dub. Season 2. It's half the amount of episodes, only 13 episodes, I believe. But I believe season 3 will come a lot quicker. Right, Fergus, go. Let's go on to your next one.
Next up, we have something that's a lot more wholesome, to be honest.
Yay!
A Place Further Than the Universe. It's animated by Madhouse, which is quite a well respected animation studio in Japan. This is adventure, comedy, drama. So think so it's this girl's dream to, travel the world. But she doesn't have any money. It doesn't really work out. So she ends up back at school, where she then organizes herself to get on a trip to the Arctic. She ends up meeting a, I guess could be called an influencer, who effectively ends up paying for the whole thing because they're bringing along like a film crew. So come meet these people that are going to go to the Japanese ice station. Her mother was an explorer who went missing there. That's something that gets resolved, but it's in general a really, really sweet story about people finding friendship and traveling the world and taking on a big expedition to see the Arctic with some research scientists. It's really, really good. Like, just like emotionally, like you really feel the characters, you really get to understand them. It's an interesting journey. A lot of interesting stuff happens. Yeah, just really sweet, really.
It does. Visually, it looks really nice as well. Like just aesthetics wise, when it comes to the actual environments themselves, how it's drawn out, does look really fun, to be honest.
Yeah, no, I absolutely recommend it. They end up in a bunch of other places along the way as well. It's not all snow and ice, but it's a lot of interesting characters, very well animated. Definitely give it a shot.
Nice. Well, thank you very much. Right, going on to my number 4. It is Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So not the original Full Metal Alchemist, but the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. So obviously this is about brothers Edward and Alphonse Elric, raised by the mother Trisha Elric in the remote village of Rosembol, in the country of Amistris. And obviously the parents die early on, and then Edward tries to perform an act to bring someone back. Doesn't work, and it turns out his brother is then he loses an arm and a leg, and his brother just loses an entire body, and his soul is transferred into a big metal suit. Obviously, has a character such as Roy Mustang, Winry, and it has the 7 deadly sins as well. I believe it is the 7 sins. I believe it's it's been a few years since I watched it now, but yeah, envy, greed, lust, wrath. Yeah, so some of the sins. They have done live actions of this. I haven't watched it. I've heard it was not really good though.
Yeah.
They are releasing 2 more, which is interesting. I love the show. Actually, Jordan was actually the one that recommended to Jordan on the show was the one that recommended this to me. He really does enjoy this anime as well. For me, it was a case of I was going through a bit of a tough time during this time period, and I was recommended this show, and I watched an episode called Psych Monk. I think a lot of people know that show. Dragon Ball Super was another one, which getting into a little bit. Spoiler. But this was a show I'd never seen before. I've heard of it, and I just decided, I'll give it a go. The fact it was only like 64 episodes in total, which I had, beginning to end story. It was just stunning. It was just stunning, and I thought the show was very visually captivating. The narrative was captivating. I was traumatized by the Edward episode with the dog and the girl, and I did not see that episode coming. I was a bit sad with one of the characters. I'm not going to mention the character's names quite early on, who unfortunately passes away. But yeah, I love the fact that this show, obviously there was the original version which divulged from the manga quite a bit, but I believe this anime was the one that stuck to the manga pretty much, it was almost 1 for 1 essentially. I believe that was the case. I loved this. I thought it was amazing. It's the reason this is at my number 4 is because Rising of the Show is my number 5 because I just really enjoyed it. This is my number 4 because it did really get me through a tough time, and I think it has the nostalgia for that reason. It was really visually stunning. The story was really nice. The next 3 are more massive nostalgia factors and more my intros into the world, and also one of them I just think's stupendous. But yeah, this is about my number 4. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood. Also a YouTube channel I watched react to this show, and that's the reason why I binged the show in like one sitting when it was on Netflix. I don't know if it's still on Netflix. It might be on Crunchyroll now, but yeah, that's my number 4.
Awesome. I've read quite a lot of the manga of Full Metal Alchemist. I've not actually got around to watching the anime.
Oh, the anime is so good, and because it's only 64 episodes, I know it's only 64 episodes, but because it's just like start to finish,
make a week of it, you wouldn't regret it. Yeah, no, absolutely,
not at all.
Awesome. Me next at number 3. This is again back to horror, but this is again a really interesting one. School Live. So basic premise is zombie apocalypse. Girls trapped in a school, surviving the best they can. Because as the situation deteriorates and they come to terms with quite how bad the situation is. But you wouldn't know this watching from the first episode, because it introduces itself as like slice of life, happy, cute girls do things at school, like a stay at school survival club. There's no indication that there's zombies. It's later revealed that the girl with the hat, with the pink hair, spoiler, has basically suffered some kind of psychosis, and as far as she's concerned, the slice of life version of reality is her version of reality. You catch glimpses of this, but for everyone else, they are avoiding being eaten by zombies in this high school, which is again a really interesting kind of juxtaposition of things going on there. But it again is one of these ones that's really stuck with me for a variety of reasons. Like, again, R-rated, but that's more zombie-based gore rather than just actual trauma, apart from the one character, I guess. But it is very interesting, like exploring how people, especially quite mentally vulnerable people, would deal with a full-on zombie apocalypse. Because I think it does deal with it quite realistically. None of the characters cope particularly well.
So, from what you're saying is, the zombie apocalypse happens, and she So I'm presuming she has this psychotic break as a coping mechanism for what's going on.
Yeah, she still attends classes. She still thinks the teachers are there. Like they have to work around this because it's not going any other. It's mate. It is quite something to watch. It is just one limited series, I think. 12 episodes, 24 minutes each, but definitely well worth the time. Pretty sure it's on Crunchyroll. But yeah, definitely worth a watch if you're into psychological
I got a feeling
zombies.
this does have a happy ending.
Eh,
Okay,
I don't.
all right then.
They like. I mean, spoiler: they don't all
Mm,
die immediately.
Okay,
Probably.
well we won't spoil it too much after that because people might want to go watch it. But yeah, no, looks interesting. Looks. I do think that's an interesting concept. Like the whole coping mechanism in regards to that. I think it's really fun, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. You want to continue?
No. No. I'm good. What is your number 3, Nate?
My number 3 is a little show with a song called Bluebird in it. It's not just one show; it's a series, and that is the Naruto series in general. I can't put
Good. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I can't put like one above the other. To be honest, I think it's a case of like Naruto and Naruto Shippuden are just and things in general. Like I broke my ankle when I was 16, and my friend said I'd never watched Japanese dub before or Japanese dub before. And my
Mm.
mate said to me, "Well, you can't really do much. Give this a watch." So I was like, "I'll give it a few episodes." And this was the show when I finally understood the concept of filler. Like even though
Yeah.
I'd watched Dragon Ball Z for so many years, this was the show which I finally understood the concept of filler. Now, don't get me wrong, I ended up watching 220 episodes of Naruto and like 50 episodes of Shippuden in 2 weeks, which is insane. But I couldn't move, so I just decided to watch it. I wasn't disappointed. I thought it was absolutely a brilliant show. I thought it was a really interesting concept. Obviously, sending kids off as ninjas to fight. I thought that was a very, very interesting way to go about it. Obviously, it takes on the Japanese trope of you know the main character shunned by society and has to fight to progress and whatnot, or he's weak at the beginning. He wants to be the ultimate character at the end. But this show, I don't know, it just had an evolving story with the characters because obviously he has this close knit group with like Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto, and also had some really interesting concepts with like side characters as well. Like side characters had their own stories and own evolutions within the show. Like Hinata, who became like the eventual love interest of Naruto in the show, had this entire like narrative in itself, and obviously you had the tailed beast saga and Orochimaru back in the day, and going back to it now and hearing believe it and all that, all those lines back in like 2000 and 2002 2000 or 2006, around that time period was a thing. But hearing it now, like watching back now, I wouldn't regret watching this again. Maybe I'll try and figure out which parts didn't have the filler and I'll rewatch it, because I never finished Shippuden. I got to the fourth Ninja War with the 10-tailed beast appearing, but I actually stopped after that, so I never saw the final fight between Naruto and Sasuke. I know which they did have, and I haven't watched Boruto. Now Boruto is interesting, which is like it's really interesting. Can you guess who Boruto is?
Oh, I should really know this.
I mean, the name pretty much gives it away.
Naruto's son's cousin's brother's nephew.
Are you taking that from Spaceballs by any chance?
Maybe.
Because I saw that meme. I literally saw that meme yesterday. No, yeah, Liz literally said, but I'm thinking, well, that's a very original name concept. Naruto, Boruto. Like,
Same
are they
family
gonna,
line, isn't it?
yeah, they're going to call it like Varuto, but that might sound like a Varuka too close. I don't know. But to be fair, we have, characters named after vegetables in a bit. But again, like the beginning of that show actually starts having a flash forward with like tattoos, like lit up tattoos on their face on this, and like the destroyed Hidden Leaf Village. And I thought it was a really interesting idea, but obviously goes back in time. So I might go back and rewatch Naruto. God, with like the how many episodes it bloody had. It's actually ridiculous. Okay, so yeah, Shippuden had 500 episodes, so maybe I'll try to figure out a way to. It's not as much as One Piece, but it's close.
You need several lifetimes to get through all of these.
Yeah, no, pretty much. Yeah, you will. Or you know, you need to take a what you call a sabbatical just to be able to get through them. But again, like the one thing I did love about the show with the fights was, whereas with Dragon Ball later on, which we do understand, it was just very quick cut fights. You know, there was repeating of the repeating of the animations to a degree to save time. But with Naruto, all the moves seemed like legitimate. Like every action seemed like it had consequence and like you know the correct flow to it. And I really, you know, I just think it flowed really well. I thought it was a great concept. So that is why it's my number 3.
Awesome. Classic show there. Absolute classic. Not that I've seen a bit of it, but not like.
Also, another character who's dressed in orange and with yellow hair.
I guess so. We're on to number 2s now, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Going in number 2, Toradora. You might have seen this on Netflix. It is a drama romance sort of thing. It's noteworthy because of the main love interest. She is extremely tsundere, so very aggressive, shy, not really wanting to show that she actually likes the main character, but then obviously really does, and like he looks after her, and then she goes off on one, and it's just a really wholesome, cute show where you know there's a bit of casual smacking around because you know tsundere, I guess. Yeah, just really enjoyable. Probably because I enjoyed the tsundere trope, to be honest, more than anything. But if you're into that kind of style of character, it is a very good example of that.
Fair enough. Thank you very much. Is there anything more you want to say about that?
So it's only 25 episodes. It's on Netflix, I'm pretty sure. It is pretty popular. So you'll either love or hate the main love interest because she is how she is. But watch a trailer, see what you think. If you're into that sort of thing, I think you'll really enjoy it.
Why, thank you very much then, Fergus. I might have to give that a go. Right, my number 2, because obviously I've gone on the screen now, but my number 2 is My Hero Academia. This is I don't know, like I was recommended this show by a friend. Obviously this has the concept of like you know the kid gaining powers, which I thought was very interesting. You know, he was in a power. Obviously, it's about Izuku Midoriya in a world of superheroes or quirk based heroes or powered people. 80% of the world has powers, 20% don't, and they're called quirkless. He's born quirkless, and then he gains the powers from the mighty super in the world, All Might. And I love the concept of this show. The fact that with loads of animes, it's a case of the character just constantly gets stronger with no real ramifications to it. The reason I love this show is because this character gets seriously injured, like massively injured. Because his body isn't built for this this power, his body can't take the pressure of the strength. So his bones will break. He'll be broken. He'll have permanent injuries and scars continuing on into the series, and then later down the line, whereas his hero used fists to fight, because his arms were too damaged, he had to adapt to use his legs. So because his legs were stronger and you know they had the bigger muscles going into that. And I think it's just a really really interesting concept in how it like you know how it plays into that. The first season, going back to it now, the animation isn't perfect. Like actually rewatching it now, but as we go along, like looking like there's a famous episode with Deku, who is Izuku Midoriya, but his superhero name is Deku, against Shoto Todoroki, who is a half fire, half ice character. His dad is the second best, who's an asshole at the beginning, Endeavor. And I don't know, like there's just this fight scene between the characters where the visuals are just like visually stunning. Like I don't know, it's in the second season, and just the actual fight between these characters. This was the episode where I think it finally showed how amazing this show actually goes in regards to visuals. This is when the animation started to really leap bounds for me, to be honest, and I think it just became stunning. And the music as well, like the actual music they have for this show is just visually incredible. and they've had 3 movies for this. 2 of them. What I like about this show is when it comes to anime movies, they don't always link to the anime. Like it's like a set story that's not within the timeline. The first 2 of these movies do actually play within the timeline at certain points, whereas the third movie is its own story, which I was actually fine with. Again, like the main hero, All Might, he is a character who is losing his powers as he fought like this all-time evil, basically the massive Darth Vader of that universe. But he can only keep his super form for a certain limited amount of time a day. So he has to transfer his power, give his powers to it's a line of succession. And I don't know, I just think it's such a stunning show, because obviously this actually goes into the Avatar concept of like, in Avatar the TV show, he's able to recall the previous avatars. In this show, there is an idea of like being able to recall the previous, like, one for all use. Also, it goes into the concept of the Musketeers. The main superhero's power is one for all, but the supervillains is the opposite. It's all for one, and like it's that, and the main villain can steal powers. Like I said, it's that concept there. Again, I just think this is a visually stunning show. Like the fight, like going into its final it's in its end game in the manga now as well. They've had this like thing planned out, but one of the characters in this show, he can turn people to just ash. That's his power, decay. And if he can decay the ground, he can, and he's like the inheritor of this next gift. I don't know what's going on any further. I've stopped reading the manga up until this point, like just to not spoil myself anymore. I may go back and just reread it, but again, I think like I highly recommend watching this show because it's season based as well, which I think is absolutely great. But I think the final reason I love the show is because my number one show is the reason why I love this show, because visually it lends so much from that show. We'll get into that in a second. I think that my number one show in a second, just for some of the visuals we're seeing. But again, this actual anime itself, though, is just ridiculous in my opinion. Again, it's just stunning. It's just absolutely stunning. And my number 2 is My Hero Academia.
I've watched maybe half the first season of My Hero. I will watch more.
Also, fun fact: they do put a lot of Star Wars references into that show. Like Tatooine is mentioned, like the train station or the shopping village is called Tatooine. They actually do like put a lot of Star Wars references in there, which I think is an interesting concept. So I really do recommend. Like, I think it does take a bit to get into, but once you're in it, I think it's just brilliant. And I tried to convince a friend so much to watch that show that he refuses to watch it now, just out of spite because I asked him to watch it so much. So yeah, I believe we're on to our number ones now, aren't we?
We are on to number 1. So my number 1 might be controversial with some people because we're going to have to talk about the second season. But the Melancholy of Haruhi Suzumiya. I've probably butchered that. Sorry. So, okay, interesting concept. So this is comedy, mystery, school, slice of life. So they all hang around in a club room and it's, get on doing fun adventures. But it's like quite zany. So the main character, Haruhi, he very much fundamentally believes aliens, time travelers, and espers exist in this world. So she's started a club where she wants to investigate aliens, time travelers, and espers. Now, she is effectively the god of this universe, but she doesn't know it. So she kind of makes everything exist. So if she gets anxious about things, monsters will turn up and smash up the school or some part of the city. Because she believes in time travelers, espers, and aliens, the other club members are one is a time traveler, one is an esper, and one is an alien. But she cannot know this because she cannot know that she's god of the universe, because then she will destroy the universe, maybe, I think is the thinking. So it becomes incredibly meta and wacky. And like, she's quite a zany character. She wants her club to be the best and do lots of entertaining things, so that like, they'll go off and make a movie. They'll challenge the IT club to a game of what is effectively battleships. I think it is a lot of people's favourites. However, the second season, the first 8 episodes of which, the Endless 8, basically they get stuck in a time loop where Haruhia basically wants to have the perfect summer. So they just keep going through the same like week of summer over and over and over again, and they have to cut like it. People do say that it's the same episode over and over, but it's not. They have to kind of work the way through the issues that they remember, but then do they remember? She doesn't. She remembers. They don't. When I first watched it, I thought it was like an incredible feat of experimental filmmaking. Really, so a lot of people don't like it, but I persevere with it, and it is very interesting. Like in general, a lot of very interesting, quite surprising things happen because it does play with your perceptions of what's going on. And absolutely watch it. This came out in 2008, so it was roughly around the time I was starting to watch anime. So this is kind of like the first generation of shows that I ever watched. But again, it's stuck with me since then, and it's an incredible show. Yeah, it is one to be experienced for sure. Go watch it.
That's cool. No, honestly, that's pretty awesome, man. Like, so the second season called The Disappearance, or is the
Yes.
yeah, okay.
Yeah. Well. So there's a movie as well that I haven't actually seen where she does disappear and everyone's lives fall apart and they have to go and find her. But I don't know if they actually do find her because I haven't seen the movie.
That's
but
fair then.
It's been very hard for me to find, to be honest. I would have watched it if I'd been able to get hold of it, but it's a show I've struggled to find out there online, to be honest.
It's pretty awesome, to be honest. Like again, like it's interesting, see all these different animes, and I never expected that to be what you mentioned, but I'm definitely going to check that out. And again, I do love animes that just have a finite ending. Like you can just watch it all and just really enjoy it. Unlike my number one,
What
which
have we got?
all the I mean it's already on the screen now, but like all the yelling, all the screaming, all the kakarot, all the all that, and all the and all like the yellow haired characters, and you think where I'm going with this, people. I'm talking about the Dragon Ball series. Fun fact, I've never watched Dragon Ball. I never watched that, and I've seen some of the footage from that. That would not pan out today. I tell you that for sure. Some of the visuals in that show would not work today. And I keep forgetting that Dragon Ball, how old it is. Like, Dragon Ball came out in like the mid 80s, which and it finished in 94. Z finished in 94, which is very it was very young. And again, the first time I ever saw this show, I was around a friend's house. I played Pokemon Snap for the first time and Pokemon Stadium for the first time, and I saw a character on screen, just like it was the Frieza saga where he's just turning into Super Saiyan for the first time, and it's just him standing there shaking, his hair starting to glow green, yellow, and the environment just going green in the lightning. I was like, "What is this magnificent show? I need to watch it." Obviously, this was Toonami back then, so it was catch you next time on Dragon Ball Z. And 25 episodes later, something happened, which I think was a big thing back in the day. I just remember back in the day of finishing school, going to my grandparents' house, getting a bowl of Nesquik, and watching the next episode of Dragon Ball Z to then be sad that it would take 15 more episodes just to get to the actual fight I actually wanted to see. And that fight would be over in 4 episodes. My favorite character from Dragon Ball Z in general is Gohan. I think he's the best character in the show. I'm really frustrated how that character played out. Obviously, there was a big thing in Dragon Ball Z where Gohan was supposed to take over for Goku in the series, but there was a lot of backlash, so Akira Toriyama had to change that. I believe it's Akira Toriyama. Had to change that. And so Goku was brought back, and the Super Saiyan 3 was brought back, and which really did piss me off because I'm not a big fan of the Boo saga. Like, I'm really not a big fan of that. I thought the Cell saga was great. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. Again, it's my favorite character. I love the fact that Piccolo is a better dad to Gohan than Goku is, because I think that's absolutely hilarious, to be honest. I love the fact that throughout the entire series as well, from the get-go of Gohan being around, you saw the increase of his power as time went by. So when Raditz first shows up, you start seeing his power there, and the constant increase to the Cell Saga, where it's finally revealed that Goku and no one could defeat him except Gohan, and it's emotion for Gohan. He's the smartest character in the show, like fighter. He's the smartest fighter, and he's just the smartest out of that group. But he was also the strongest fighter as well, which I thought was great. I thought it was really brilliant to have. And then they just sort of dumbed it down from there, which did not dumb it down, but it sort of, it pulled away from it. It sort of brought in that, that you could just bring these characters back as many times as you want. Did frustrate me, but I think the reason I love this show is because it did continue on to Dragon Ball Super, which I thought was brilliant. Like, I actually didn't. So Dragon Ball Super was 4 seasons long in total, but what they did was, which I thought was brilliant, Battle of Gods, Resurrection of F were the first 2 seasons, just condensed into 2.5 hour movies, and it works perfectly. I watched those 2 films on Netflix, and I knew exactly where I was in the timeline. I didn't have to go back and watch the previous seasons, and just goes to show you can condense something really well. And then obviously Dragon Ball Super had this amazing final fight scene, and the music Ultimate Battle was just epic. And obviously it was the point where Frieza and Goku have to fight together to defeat this final boss. It wasn't a case of, Goku won again, because he just couldn't win. That was literally part of the story. Goku could not win against his character. And Vegeta's just looking at these guys like, these 2 guys have hated each other to this point, but they're having to both fight together. And it's 3 against 1. Android 17, Frieza, and Goku against Jiren in the Tournament of Power. And it was just visually great. And it turns out, spoiler, Goku and Frieza lose in the end. They lose by taking the main villain out of the tournament, off the map. That's how it's basically multiverse. It's a multiverse story, like different universes fighting to survive, else the gods will wipe out their universe. And it turns out that Android 17 was the one who won. I thought it was a really interesting concept. Visually, I thought the show was like the final season was brilliant. They actually made Gohan more of a badass again going into Super. It actually does play into the narrative of how Gohan is more of a bookworm at the beginning of Super, and then it's like him realizing I need to train again, and it's just going into that. One really interesting concept is the fact that this is very popular in Spanish and Latin Portuguese speaking countries, because in the final season, like, they filled like crowds full of people just watching the final fight between all these characters, and like seeing how it plays out is just seeing the reaction. Like, it was almost Avengers Endgame level for these people to see these final fights play out in parking lots and almost stadiums to a degree. Like, seeing the cheering people had. I thought it was brilliant. And again, this just goes to show, when I say anime to people, usually 3 animes come up in mainstream media: Pokemon, Dragon Ball, or Naruto. Those are the 3 that always come up to people. That is usually it. And I think that's Goku is the anime version. He is the anime version of Superman. He is literally the anime analog of Superman in the world. When you think of Japanese anime in pop culture, Goku is always pretty much the top of that list. He is the personification in my mind of that. We're watching videos at the moment, even stadiums full of Brazil, like people seeing all these reactions, and Mexico, Brazil, Mexico, seeing all these people watching. I never knew this until I saw the show, but I remember watching these final 2 episodes and messaging my friend right away. The music in the show as well, just literally, it's my workout music. When I want to power up, I go to my anime music, and this is definitely one of them. So I don't know. It's just always been a big nostalgia factor for me, and that's the reason why this is my favorite anime of all time. It really is. And I know a lot of people say, but there's much better anime out there, but I don't care. I really don't, because give me glowy haired fighters shouting Kamehameha. Fuck the movie. Fuck that live action movie, by the way. Jesus Christ, it pissed me off. Actually, I'll give the movie 2 credits. I will give it 2 credits. And people come at me on the comments section for this. People, I don't care. James Masters at Piccolo, I did appreciate, because he actually did do a lot of research for that movie. And he didn't have the antennae, but I thought the visual concept for him was good. The gi for Goku at the end, I didn't mind. And the charge up of the Kamehameha, didn't mind it. When he flew with the Kamehameha, could burn in hell. But outside of that, that movie can fuck off. Like, that is, people say Avatar: The Last Airbender is the worst anime. No, Dragon Ball is the worst anime adaptation ever. Like, it really is, because Goku's in high school. Why? Just why? I mean, there's no reason at all.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I do agree. I overall, the Dragon Ball series is I've had, I guess, limited access to the series, but it's one of these shows that's kind of just always been there. Like, you make fun of it because battles will last multiple episodes. Like, there aren't.
Well, I
there aren't
can
many-
say, which was really good, Dragon Ball Kai, which they
Mm.
released, was the cut down version of Z.
Mm.
They cut down a lot of Z, and they reformatted it so it was in HD now. And I believe they did cut at like 20 episodes. I think it was a lot of episodes out from the Frieza fight, so it was much more condensed.
Yeah, but it's always been there. People have been very passionate about it since before I was born. I was born, probably.
Oh yeah, before
Um,
either of us were born.
Yeah, I mean, especially the fighting game community, I think is very into. Just it has a very special place in the world of geek culture.
I mean,
Uh,
the fact they could do video games and that narrative for so many years, but it's just the same narrative for each
mhm.
one, just goes to show how much people love that
Yeah,
series.
yeah, they're still coming out now.
Oh yeah, yeah. And actually, I bought like a lot of them. I remember the PS1 game Ultimate Battle 22, I believe it was. It was a
mm,
2D one. It wasn't good. It was
mm,
not good. Final Bout, which was the 3D one on PlayStation 1. I remember playing that. That was interesting. So you had like all the. I remember the one Dragon Ball thing I didn't watch was GT. I tried to. There's a funny story in which I convinced my grandfather to buy the entire GT series for me on
mm,
CDs, back imported from Japan on old school eBay. Took
mm.
weeks to get here. Put it in the PC to watch. Dumbass here, being young, I didn't read that it didn't have subtitles.
No.
So I convinced my grandfather to buy this. Took weeks to convince him, and it turns out I couldn't read it at all. So I just never watched GT, which I've kind of heard was a good thing in the end.
Mm.
But yeah, that's my number one.
Some classic series is there.
As I said, my anime is more mainstream. I'm more into my more mainstream anime. To be honest, I've always been that way. Like I've
Mm,
tried, that's the thing. I've always tried to watch other anime, and people actually, now that we've wrapped up, now we can talk very briefly about what we're next going to be doing with anime, because we're going to be trying to bring this a bit more now. We may be bringing a few more people into the show to sort of diversify our shows a bit, so more topical debates for video games, movies, TV shows, anime. Obviously, Fergus loves his anime, so he'll probably be more centric to the anime side of things. He'll definitely be in the other shows as well, because he loves to talk about that stuff. But it's good to find a condensed group. Also, I've asked Fergus to compile a list of 10 anime from the level I like now. So he's seen the anime I like now to the anime that he showed earlier. Basically,
yeah,
those levels.
you've
One at
probably got a
the
good idea already.
the
Yeah.
first episode of each of those anime, and I will rank top 10 what I'd watch and what I will never watch again. And we will do Nate's top 10 what the fuck. We will, what the fuck I need to watch this, to what the fuck I'm never going to watch this. That will be the scale. A nice scale, to be honest, and that's what we're going
Okay.
to do.
Yeah.
And we're going to be doing that. And I know Fergus is definitely looking forward to seeing compiling that list, definitely coming up my reactions to that, to be honest.
Yeah, I can put stuff together. if it's on a streaming service, it's
We won't be showing
again,
footage. We
we
won't be
won't be
showing
showing
footage,
footage.
but we'll just be naming names and we will be talking about it. And we'll be very like in Fergus right
We
now.
might
It's like,
have
what
to,
can we actually do? Yeah, like
yeah. Well, we'll have to discuss this later.
yes, we definitely will. Off mic, people. Off mic. We will have to do that. But yes, people. That is the episode, people. We have done a pretty much an extra long episode for you all today. It's about an hour and 40, about an hour and a half again, so that's pretty good. So another hour and a half episode, that's always good to have.
Mm.
But yes, so Fergus, thank you very much for joining me today on that, sir.
No problem. Thank you for having me and letting me talk about anime.
Oh yeah, we'll definitely be doing more of that, and obviously we'll be doing a lot more adaptations of anime going forward as well. Because obviously we'll probably do like reviews some anime shows coming out maybe later down in the year. Obviously we have the Avatar: Last Airbender TV series coming on later in the year or
Mm.
next year, no doubt. We'll definitely be reviewing that. I'd say that for sure. And we'll probably have some more going on with that. But yes, people, that is it. Right. Now we are at the end of the show. You know the spiel, you know the wrap up now, people. It's time for us to wrap up and go forward. Go forward. Also, turns out this is over 45 minutes. Fergus is over an hour now, so it's actually an hour and 45 minutes episode. So long episode, people, long episode. But yes, people, right. You know what comes out now, people. If you have any questions, queries, compliments, insults you want to put towards me for saying Dragon Ball is the greatest anime ever, or going to Fergus, he has some amazing choices, or anime that we've missed off this today, or anime that you just love in general, maybe send us your top lists in. Please feel free to do that by maybe tweeting your top 5 list at NMI Cast on Instagram or Twitter, commenting on there when we put our posts up, or maybe just DMing us on there, see what we like on there, or if you'd like to email us with any questions, queries, compliments, maybe some anime show ideas, topic discussions, again, your top lists, feel free to email us at nmipodcast@outlook.com. That's nmipodcast@outlook.com. Or email us also at feedback@nmicast.com. That's feedback@nmicast.com. So use either of those. They'll be forwarded to the email address. Search for our socials at NMIcast on Twitter, Instagram, and on Linktree. So you can find us on Linktree to all of our socials as well as all of the listening platforms. If you'd like to search for us on YouTube to actually see the pixel versions that we're actually doing now, with some fun little animatics going into that, we will be improving that as we go along, or I'll be improving that, just trying to slave away on the animations, people, all the animations. That's search on YouTube, NMI dash when you need more info, NMI dash when you need more info. Give us a subscribe and give us a few likes on there, people. We'll definitely appreciate that. If you've got any suggestions on that as well, please feel free to do so. Again, I've been your host, Nate. Next week, we will be doing another topical discussion. We, depending on some news, if a couple of shows get cancelled, which I think they might, I think you know which show I'm on about, we may be doing a few topical discussions of that, or we might find out something else next week. Right, people. I've been your host, Nate. Again, thank you for Fergus for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Right, people. You stay safe, everyone. I will speak to you next week. Stay safe, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.